See if you start recording, there is some delay when you record. All right, yes, go Tenario.
Hi, my name is Tenorio Power, and I'm with Pontiac Pogna. We're doing our IT capstone project on the blockchain technology for the spring semester. Our instructor's name is Dr. Min Hong. Great guy, great guy. Our project owner is Annette Coker. We go to Kennesaw State University, of course. I'm going to jump into the table of contents.
Oh, I have to introduce myself too. Hey,
Ah,
I'm right here. This is Podie Poyon, and we are doing our recording with my teammate Tenario. So let's get to Tenario.
all right. I'm sorry about that, Donald, about the introduction.
No, you good.
All right, the table of contents. I'm going to go through it briefly. Hit the high points. It is the history of blockchain, the security problem of IoT. We're going to talk about the centralized IoT issue, the case study, the use of smart contracts, the advantages. Also, we're going to talk about the blockchain-based IoT security system. The history consists of a guy, Satoshi Nakamoto, who was accredited with the brains behind the blockchain technology. It started in 2008 as a conceptual idea. He exited the scene and gave it over to the overseer, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin and blockchain are not the same technology. Bitcoin emerged in the years of 2008 to 2013. This resulted in blockchain 1.0. It emerged to blockchain 2.0, and one of the key developers was Vitalik Buterin. The blockchain continued to 2018. It will expand and it will explode and it will keep going. This is a very big technology. So, Donald, take it away.
Okay, so the next slide we'll be talking about the architecture of the blockchain technology. First of all, we all know by 2025 we're going to have 75.44 billion IoT device connected to the network. So how secure that will be? So that's a big question mark we have to ask ourselves. So the cloud architecture from the blockchain is going to be, I got some little slide here that we can talk about. So that will contain, first of all, the DSS, okay, the PSA, which will be the platform as service, the SASA, that will be the software as a service. And right here, we got the whole architecture of the blockchain. First of all, we have some IoT device that will be connected to your gateway as a customer, okay? And from the gateway, all those data will be sent directly to the cloud. And then from the cloud, the data will be returned back to each user device. So all those blockchain configuration will happen between those nodes because each uh, node will carry some information, and then there will be a validation on each node before that information can be carried over to the next node. So that's why on this pod right here we have to have the once a device is connected to each node, there will be authentication that will happen over here, and once that authentication is confirmed, the transaction will move to the next node. So that's how the blockchain architecture happen. So, and after all, we have to talk about also the security problem with the IoT device. So for that security, we have different layers that we have to cover in this whole chapter. So I have the application layer, the network layer, and the perception layer. So from that, and now we have to group though. The main concept is to ensure that the confidentiality of our data, the integrity of our data, and also the availability of our data. So we have to think about the device security. Once we talk about device security, we have to think about the hardware security and then the OS security. And after we have to talk about the communication security, which will be how everything will happen to the secure link. So once uh, the secure link have been identified, now we have to talk about the cloud security, and which will mean what the let me go to another slide so you guys can be. I don't want to read the whole thing, so I just want to go over a few slides a little bit. So we have to talk about the identity access management, the data encryption, the device authentication, like I mentioned earlier, the data authorization, sometimes that will be based on if you want to use a fingerprint or what kind of, like some people use face recognition for those parts. And we have to talk about the DOS and the device management. So and also because the key for all this is to the key for all this is about making business decisions based on data collected by smart device. So we have to make sure that the data for the customer, how we can collect the data, transmit the data, okay, and how we're gonna store the data, process the data, and how the data will be visualized and analyzed by, I'm sorry, okay, how the data will be visualized and analyzed by the customer. That's how we're going to talk about that on the slide number 3. And if I go to the slide number 4, that will be based on the blockchain based IoT security system. So like we mentioned earlier, the blockchain use the P2P node configuration, which means what? We have to group the decentralization. Okay, that means what? That remove single point of failure. So mean if there isn't any node or any block is corrupt, that means your whole chain is not corrupt. So you can still have access to some of the data if there's any data breach or any situation like that. So the data will still be available. That means even those hackers, they cannot steal your whole information because they only got part of it, because that only part of that node or part of that block is corrupt. So we have to make sure that immutability of the data. So that means what? That's cover also the integrity of data. We have to ensure that data integrity, okay, and the transparency of the data. Okay, we have to track the status of connected device. Okay, which device is connected? So how that device is connected is via Wi-Fi or via landline. So all this to be tracked. Okay, and we have to worry about the security. That means we have to authenticate each user and the device. So using the public key for the authentication. And the last thing will be the smart contract. The smart contract will build a trust on IoT process. And we all know just a smart contract is just a piece of code inside the, the blockchain. So that's just what it is. So like it's a piece of code that's stored with the blockchain and enable that automation for dealing with the logic, that 0 and 1. So that's what we cover in that slide number 4 or 5, I think. Let me see the next one. Let me see, give me a minute. Let me go to, let me see if I got it covered. Which one is that one? All right, so okay, that's the security part that I talked about earlier. And on slide number 5, I'm looking for the slide number 5. Tenaro, let me know if you find it, so I can stay beyond the time.
Okay. Keep going up. You looking for what? Keep going up, up.
Okay, hold on. I think I went
Found it.
down. That's slide number 4. Okay. Okay, so this one is our slide number 5. That will be the challenge about the data. So that what happened at this point is what? How the data lifetime, we have to talk about the life cycle, device life cycle of those data. That means what? How the data is going to be collected, how the data will transit, okay, how the data will be processed, and how we're going to retain those data for the customer to make sure the data is kind of secure on their end. That's what we cover on that slide number 5, okay, and that's security. We did that already. And let me go down to slide number 6. Slide number 6, we'll be talking about the advantage and application of the blockchain. Okay, we got the data integrity, reliability, and distribute data. For that part, we have to classify all those in 3 different layers. Okay, the first layer will be the asset layer. Layer number 2 will be the cloud layer. Layer number 3 will be the blockchain layer. So when we talk about the asset layer, is just to include the local and remote communication and process. Okay, when we go to the cloud layer, that will be the cloud connectivity. Okay, and how we're going to access those data. And we got the blockchain layer, which will be the access related to the ledger. Okay, the peer-to-peer transaction and then the communication of the network between those nodes. So that's what we talk. And then right here, if you see, I'll give some example for those cloud like Amazon, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, and so on. So the next one will be my slide number 7 will be the blockchain application and for the platform also. So on that one, I'm going back to the asset that I named earlier. So we have to have the cloud asset. Okay, we got 4 different assets. So we have between the asset, cloud, and blockchain. Okay, from the communication between the asset, the gateway or fog, the IoT, the cloud, and blockchain. And also that we got the backend. That will be the IoT cloud and the blockchain technology. That part on that backend, that's what we have those REST API, the peer-to-peer communication, like I mentioned earlier, and we have some backup option that we talk about on that we mentioned earlier. And when we come to the distributed ledger of the blockchain, okay, blockchain have some. We can regroup the blockchain in 2 different categories. We got the permissionless blockchain and the permission blockchain. The permissionless blockchain is what? Anyone can join the network, and anyone can read the ledger and data and validate the transaction, which one we don't want. And the ledger replicate the high degree of trust. So the one that is our concern here is a permission blockchain, and that one, the way it works is what? The is formed by a set of transactions, okay? And each transaction have to be validated and controlled by a set of nodes. So the ledger replicates the high degree of transparency and accountability of the data. That's how that will win. And then that's what I got over here too. So the distributed layer, which is a permissional layer, each node on a network, I don't read the whole thing, but that's what I just regrouped by in 3 or 4 lines. So if you go to our Google site, you can see this picture and everything is kind of explained in detail on our Google site. So the centralized issue is is related to the IoT device that is not using the blockchain technology. So that's why you can see right here, we can see, okay, when everything is centralized, everybody is watching us. So our data is not secure. That's why the blockchain come in place. And we got the decentralized security option of the blockchain. That one, like I said earlier, when we talk about decentralization, we remove the single point of failure, okay, in the trust of central authority. Now, on another point, we have to talk about the transparency, okay, that provide the full audible and valid ledger of transaction. That's called like a share through. And the security by using the public key, okay, so that's what we mentioned earlier, and also the automation. And the automation, that will be extremely related to the, how do you call it, smart contract. And like I mentioned earlier, the smart contract is just a piece of code on a blockchain that will enable and automate the transaction. And the last of our list will be the user smart contract that we just talked about earlier. And right here, you see the smart contract. Another definition is just an event-driven program and replicate a state machine. So that's how the process works. Okay, we got the blockchain developer here, and then we got the SDK, and then we got the database that store all those data, and everything happen on this ledger over here. And that's what we call the peer-to-peer transaction. And the application is over here also, and then we got the REST API that will be talking to the program. Okay, so we go down. The blockchain and smart city. That is just something that we talk about. Okay, how we can make our city smart using the blockchain. So our city is going to the smart way right now, but we don't know if everything is secure. That's why the blockchain will come to make sure our smart city is secure at 100%. And now we're going down to the case study. On our case study, we just pick one example, how people can hack into your IP security camera to 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 steal your data or to have access to your network. Because the hacker, when they hack into your device, they can use the end-to-end encryption on edge computing technology that user can own. So the question is, can we enhance the security, home security camera IP system using blockchain? And the answer is absolutely yes, because I know for fact there is a, if I go right here, I don't remember the name of the company. Let me see. The UCAM. The UCAM technology already have a blockchain already enabled on the technology. So once, if you have a UCAM camera, you cannot save by at your home. So that's what it is. So everything happened. What happened was each user can contain a blockade address on a random challenge. Okay. Once you get your smartphone connected to your mobile app for your camera, the mobile app sign a random challenge to complete the login after user confirmation. And then there's a JWT is used to the user to access the cloud storage or other cloud service. And then a random challenge is updated after each login attempt. So which allow each device to reset or will restart the device binding process. And now the blockchain serves as a ground truth regarding the device ownership, which is 10,000% secure. So that's where I will wrap up everything. And right here, you can see the configuration for those, the IP camera, and we got other example right here, how everything's connected to the 5G network. And you got the blockchain technology over here, the blockchain system over here, and then we got the user over here. So once there's any request, it go before it go to the user, you have to go to that blockchain configuration before the users can access it. So Tenario, I'll let you take out the conclusion for us.
Okay, Pontier. That was nice, Pontier. I like that. Okay, the conclusion is the IoT technology has extended to every home in the universe. Like as we said earlier, it will be 75 or 70, well, up to 75 billion IoT devices worldwide. This is a very big technology we will keep track on. Pontier is a database developer, and I am a software developer. So we'll be focusing more on the smart contracts and also the infrastructure of blockchain. Like I said, we will keep tabs on this. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I will let him conclude this presentation.
No, that's why I don't have nothing to add, and we ran out of time. Thanks everyone for listening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.